Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another Just a Dude podcast. I want to thank everybody for all of your support, and for those of you who do join me, it does mean a lot that you watch my videos, that you are supporting me, that you simply take the time to give me the gift of your attention, if not for just but a moment. Truly, I do appreciate that. For every little bit helps on my journey to trying to make my dreams come true and being a content creator as a career. So thank you, truly. Now, another thing that I've been trying to do with my Just a Dude podcast is, even though we still have our little segments, our game news and journals of a D&D adventure and Digimon of the week and such, sadly, I will say this. In this particular episode, we will not have a journals from a D&D adventure. I do apologize. I just did not have the time to set one up for this particular podcast because I have been working quite hard on trying to, deal with a lot of my life responsibilities and trying to get things set straight. And I'm sure many of you know what that's like, because when it comes down to it in life, we all have struggles that we face. And though there may be some similarities, there are many similarities between the struggles that we all face. The path in life that we take is unique to us, and how we face them, how we deal with them, and how they impact us both emotionally and mentally is unique to us as an individual. And that might be sometimes hard to realize and take full scope of when it comes to dealing with a lot of the things in our lives. Or too often we're apt to compare ourselves to others when we don't need to do that, because we are not somebody else. We are us. We are ourselves. We are the ones that are living our lives, no one else. So how can we try to mirror someone who is not us? For each one of us has our own path to take. And I know I'm probably going on a lot of rants and tangents lately. It's probably something that is just a little bit of me that I want to express a little bit more. And it's something that we actually did discuss on a few of my live streams on Twitch, which was about what it is to be a content creator and the struggles that come with that, both mentally and emotionally. And a lot of us, I see, that take this path to want to become content creators, become lost in chasing the fads and the clout and the trends that may potentially get us viral, and within that chase we lose ourselves, trying so hard to be others, to mirror others' success, when we need to try and trust ourselves. And this is something that I've come to realize for myself when it comes to content creation, is I need to start trusting myself in speaking freely in what's in my mind, and not even worrying about the fact that maybe I will stutter and I will mess up and I'll say the wrong thing by placing in the wrong word at a different point in a sentence, and fumble what I'm trying to say and end up kind of mumbling or rambling on. And that does happen with me due to the head injury that I suffered when I was in high school, which ultimately caused a lot of effects. One of those is I get confused quite easily, and when I do talk, I do have a tendency to, at some point or another, kind of get lost and stop that train of thought with a random phrase that'll just pop into my head and come out of my mouth, almost like verbal diarrhea. Kind of like what just happened there, I guess. But it is something that I'm trying to get more comfortable with, and realize that when it comes to content creation, one of the things that I started off doing this and wanting to do is to showcase who I am as a person, not to mirror somebody else and who they are, not to stand here and be a Jacksepticeye or a Markiplier or a Ninja or any of those other content creators that have gained success in one way or another, because they've each gained success in their own way. And they did it with doubt in their heart at one point or another. They did it with fear. They did it with not knowing where they're going to go, whether or not they're going to succeed, but they did it believing in themselves. And it is something that I am trying to grow into as a person. And for those of you who join me on this journey, as I try to evolve my podcast to being something more of me and not just trying to talk about games and interest points that I think will bring people in. Because that is a lot of the reasons why I did the segments that I have in my podcast, my Just a Dude podcast. It's the reason why my podcast has changed so much over the time that I've been posting it. It originally was just me randomly playing video games while I was live streaming and recording it as a podcast, just talking to everybody and playing games, and just like I would be doing a normal stream. And then it evolved into me attempting to work on video editing, as well as me trying to find things that would draw people in, such as game news and showcasing new games that are coming out, which does also play in line with my interests. But it wasn't necessarily what I wanted my podcast to be. The truth is, what I really wanted my podcast to be is somewhere where I could talk and speak my mind and help people, inspire you to believe in yourself, even from the standpoint of me, an absolute nobody. But I still want you to realize that, coming from a nobody, that this nobody believes in all of you, and what you can do, and what you can be, and where you can go. Because we all started off with a very similar feeling, of feeling like we are nobody. But the truth of the matter is, and this is something that I constantly say, but it is something that is difficult for me, myself, to digest, to apply to me as a person. But it is a truth that I truly believe for everyone that is alive, that we are priceless because we are alive, that there isn't a value to be placed on anyone's journey to discover what life has to offer them, including the choices that we make. Because this is a choice that I made, to want to be a content creator, to go 100% into this dream. And it will have its ups and downs. And I will be scared, I will be frustrated, just like every one of you will be in your lives. And that's okay, because that's not a determining factor of whether or not you will succeed. And like I said, I want to be somebody that at the very least can inspire you, the watcher, the viewer, my friends, my community, to believe that you can be whatever it is that you want to be in this world, no matter what expectations anybody may have. Who cares what anybody says? Who cares if somebody says you're too much? Because the world could use a little bit of too much right now. I think the more people embrace who they are, no matter what anybody says, and no longer hold back, I truly think that the world can be a better place for it. Because there are too many people out there living miserably, thinking that they have to fit in like some puzzle piece, like some object. But we're not objects. We're living people. We're living people that have so much to experience, so much growing to do. And I hope that when you watch this, I help you remember something that you may have forgotten. That you are absolutely amazing. And there's not a damn thing that you cannot be in this world. As long as you see what I see in the mirror, which is someone to believe in. Now, that is a big thing that I do want to talk about, because I had a moment where, not a moment, I've had a few days where I've allowed myself to stop believing in myself, because I've been dealt some hardships. But that's part of the course. When have I not been dealt hardships? When have we not had to deal with struggles in life? But we're still here. We're still alive. We're still breathing. We're still living and fighting. What does that say? That says we're stronger than we know. And that's something that we need to take and relish and realize and embrace the strength that we have had for so long, and that some of us have not been able to recognize because we're too busy trying to survive. And I hope you know, any of you out there that are struggling, that just because you're struggling, just because you're not where you want to be right now, well, doesn't mean that you won't get to where you want to be. You are on your way, my friends. You are on your way. Don't you ever forget that. Alright? So you keep fighting. And I'll keep fighting. And I'll keep pushing. I'll keep growing. And I'll keep trying. Because I'm not giving up on this dream. I'm not. I'm not giving up on any of you. I believe in all of you, and what it is that you want to do, and who you want to be in this life. It's about you. You're the author. You're the writer. You're the fighter. Alright, my friends? Now, I hope that you take this little musing that I've had to heart for the beginning of my Just a Dude podcast, as we move on to the next segments. And we will talk on to game news. Welcome everybody to Game News. Thank you so much for joining me, and the very first game that we're going to be talking about is Venba, brought to you by Visai Games, available on all platforms July 31st of 2023. Now, this is a very unique and interestingly beautifully done narrative cooking game in which you take the role of Venba, a Indian mother who has moved to Canada alongside her husband and her son, and attempts to stay in touch with her roots and share her heritage through her beautiful and amazing cooking. Let's check out the trailer for this charming game now.
குருவியொன்னு இருந்துச்சா கூண்டுக்குள்ள வளர்ந்துச்சா கூண்ட விட்டு வெளியே வரும் கனவுல தான் மிதந்துச்சா கனவுக்குள்ள தர இறங்கி நடந்து நடந்து பழகுச்சான்.
Now that looks like a very interesting window into a heritage that we don't often see accentuated within Western culture. And I love the idea of sharing culture through cooking. And it is such an amazing way to introduce somebody to your heritage. And this game is a great way to showcase what impact that could have on not just your family, but yourself as you choose to explore different aspects of who you are. And I love that this game has a way of doing that. And you can see that just from the trailer, within its music, the narrative that it shows, and of course, within the art style itself. Now let's move on to the next game, shall we? Alrighty then, and the next game that we're going to be talking about is Lies of P, which was developed by Round 8 Studios and produced by NeoWiz Games, both of which are located in South Korea. Now, this particular game will be available on all platforms on September 19th of 2023. And it is a very interesting Souls-like game that is loosely based off of the 1883 Italian novelization of The Adventures of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Now, let's check out the trailer for this game now.
Geppetto's puppet. We need your help. Je t'ai rencontré simplement et tu n'as rien fait pour chercher à me plaire. Je t'aime pourtant, ton amour ardent, rien je le sens bien mais tu seras toujours mon amour. Je te fuis parfois, mais je reviens quand même. C'est plus faux que moi. Je t'aime. C'est plus faux que moi.
Listen, pal.
Now that looks like a very interesting game. I love the art style. It definitely reminds me and seems kind of reminiscent of the more modern Final Fantasy games that we have seen. And I love that. And it being a Souls-like game and having a more almost dark, macabre, American McGee's Alice sort of feel to this old folk tales. I really enjoy that. I do. And I, for one, am excited to try this game out. The fact that it is available on Game Pass will make it a little bit more accessible for me. But, of course, it is available on all platforms September 19th of 2023. Now, let's move on to the final game of this evening, shall we? Well, of this day, evening, whatever it may be that you are watching this particular podcast. Alrighty then, now the final game that we're going to be talking about is one that I've been excited for a very long time, and we finally got an official trailer release about 3 days ago. And the game that we're going to be talking about is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, brought to you by Ubisoft and will be available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation December 7th of 2023. This is going to be an exciting game where you get to play as a Navi in an open world, fully explorable environment where you are a Navi who was frozen and apparently stored away before the events of the first movie. And you are awakened within, I believe, the events of the second movie or a little bit afterwards. But either way, you must work to fight against the human invaders upon Pandora. And it is an exciting game that I have been waiting for so long. And it hopefully will alleviate the pain of having the movie be pushed back, although it is for a good reason. Either way, let's check out the trailer for Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Bultevgosan na vieranel, tokpeje hemice. The RDA's greed poisoned our world.
Secure the perimeter. All threats must be eliminated.
They took everything from us. From me. I was trained in their ways, their technology, their weapons. Things that a Navi should not know. And then one day, they left.
Hell's Gate is under attack. Evacuate now. Kill all the Navi children.
But before they did, our teacher saved us and put us to sleep.
This is your only chance to survive.
And there I remained for 15 years. Until one day, I awoke. And I was free. Free to explore my world. Free to decide who I was going to be. Free to discover what I was meant to do.
Now you see what they kept you from. Your true home.
Now Pandora is under attack again.
Don't let the Navi get in our way. Get rid of them.
And I have a choice to make. I choose to protect my home. I was a child of two worlds. I am no longer. I am Navi. Sivako.
I'm excited. Are you excited? Because that game looks absolutely beautiful. To be able to explore all of Pandora, at the very least, the area of Pandora that you saw in the first movies, I believe that's what the first segment of the Frontiers of Pandora are. More than likely, what they're probably going to do is unleash other parts of Pandora as DLCs. That's definitely what I see in the future. But either way, I'm excited to be able to explore in first person in that beautiful graphics with the ability to be able to fly on a Banshee. And this is a far cry from the game that I believe was released during the GameCube era. And I am so excited for that because the first person mechanics are very much so reminiscent of Far Cry the game, and I thoroughly enjoy that. Now then, thank you all so much for joining me for this segment of Game News. Now we're going to move on to our last segment, which is going to be the Digimon of the Week. Now I do apologize for us not having the segment of journals from a D&D adventurer, but like I said, I just didn't have time to be able to find the journal entry to be able to read out for that particular segment. And more than likely in the future, I am going to have content that is going to be dedicated to D&D and might change over to doing journals of a D&D adventurer as its own thing with that included as well. We shall see in the future. Either way, let's move on to the Digimon of the Week. Alrighty then, everybody. Now the Digimon of the Week that we're going to be talking about is one of my personal favorite Digimon, and that is Dracomon. Now this particular Digimon is actually the progenitor of all Draymon type Digimon within the digital world, meaning that this little guy is the reason for all Dragon type Digimon existing in the digital world, as this was the reason for that particular type to exist and proliferate in its type of data throughout the digital world, creating a multitude of different types of variations. Now, when it comes to Dracmon as a Digimon, its Digivolution lines are quite interesting, as it can Digivolve into either Korigimon Blue or Korigimon Green. And these Digivolutions are based on the environmental data that it takes in as it develops, and will ultimately lead into two very powerful Dragon-type Digimon. One being Breakdramon, which actually has quite a sad story, and the other being Slayerdramon, who is a Dragonman Digimon and a knight of all Digimon kind, and a legendary knight at that. And actually, Breakdramon and Slayerdramon can DNA Digivolve to become Examon. And Examon is a member of the Royal Knights and the Dragon Emperor of the digital world. Thank you so much for this little excerpt of Digimon lore knowledge and joining me for Digimon of the Week. I truly hope y'all enjoyed that, and of course, please do look forward to, in the future, there being full-length Digimon lore videos that I will be working on to be able to add variety to the different types of content that I post on YouTube so that I can grow as a content creator. Thank you all so much, and let's get on to the little ending thoughts and segment of this particular Just a Dude podcast. Thank you all. Well, everybody, we've reached the end of my Just a Dude podcast. But before we go, there are a couple things that I want to talk about. One, we had just recently passed us by the 30th anniversary of the Jurassic Park series. And I had to mention that because, one, I am an absolute lover of Michael Crichton as an author, as well as the Jurassic Park series as a whole. And of course, why I mentioned this as well is due to the fact that me and a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Bootleg DK, if you haven't heard of him, look him up. He's on TikTok, he's also on YouTube, I believe, and he's also on Twitch, I believe. They are an absolutely amazing content creator and a great friend of mine that I have been grateful to meet. But together we are going to be working on a collaborative podcast known as Dynamite, where we'll be talking about dinosaurs, possibly history, and maybe so much more. But either way, I am so excited because to be able to start working on collaborative podcasts and be able to break through this little bit of anxiety that I've had that has kept me back from doing that, even though I kind of have really been wanting to. And I also will be reviving and working on another collaborative podcast known as A Bunch of Goofs, where it will be me and me and 3 other friends and a series of rotating guests talking about different things and just having fun, conversing, and being ourselves. Now, I do want to leave you all before I end this podcast with just this little tidbit, my friends. Remember, believe in yourselves, alright? No matter what it is that you're going through right now, no matter what hardships you may be facing, and what darkness you may be in, keep fighting, because you are standing right now. And as long as you are standing, and as long as you are breathing, you can fight. And if you can keep fighting, you can win. Alright? You got this. Alrighty then, my friends. Love train, rolling on through. Choo-choo. I love every single freaking one of you. Now, it's time to roll credits. Well, that's another video down. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really do appreciate y'all. And of course, if anybody does want to continue to support me and help me in making better quality videos, as well as making my dream of becoming a content creator come true, please do check out the links over here that will show you how you can support me. There's Twitch, there's Patreon, there's these other links on my Linktree, and of course, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Alrighty then, have a great one. The love train, going on through. Choo choo. I love every single freaking one of you.